42 years ago, the unthinkable happened. A freighter collided with the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, sending several cars into the bay. In this video from our archives, right here, it shows the aftermath. 32 people died in the disaster.
She didn't feel the love of her husband, and to get even with him, she drowned their children.
This is the story of a woman who's now believed to haunt this creek.
Maple Hill Cemetery is one of Alabama's oldest and largest cemeteries. Not only does it house the headstones of many historical figures, the cemetery, oddly enough, has a playground as well. Its name to many is the Maple Hill Playground, but to others, as morbid as it is, this is the dead children's playground.
Hello everyone, it's Blobby back again. I hope you've all been doing well. I know it's been a while since I've last uploaded, and I can't promise that this is going to be me consistently uploading from this point on, but I would like to try to return to making videos again. I had tried previously to make a couple of videos, but both of the ones that I had worked on either kind of fell flat for me, or I just lost a lot of interest in them given I couldn't really find any super interesting information about them. So what a better way to come back to making videos than to go back to one of the series that I had started on my channel and never completed. So in this video, we're going to be sending off the Urban Legends Iceberg by simply compiling a few entries from the bottom tiers, making them into one kind of neat video, and just getting rid of the series as a whole. I did enjoy making it when I had done it, but at this point I feel like it's kind of gone dry for a while, and it's probably better to just try to finish it rather than taking the time and making multiple videos on a series that I had already kind of given up on. With that being said, thanks to my cousin for helping me research, and let's just get right into it. Starting us off in this finale is the London Monster. The London Monster was the name given to a person who would attack women in London between 1788 and 1790. The person was thought to have had behaviors matching picurism, which means he has sexual interest in penetrating the skin of others with sharp objects. He would carry around a knife or other sharp objects that he used to prick or stab women. The first reported attack was in 1788. Where, according to a victim, a large man had followed them while shouting obscenities at them before stabbing them in the butt. Sometimes he would tell victims to smell a fake posy and stab them in the face with a spike hiding within the flowers. Phantom social workers. Phantom social workers were people that claimed to be social workers in order to abduct children from their parents. There were some sporadic police reports, but the police were unable to find any substantial evidence or locate any suspects around these reports. Most witnesses claimed that they had just been visited by one or two women in their late 20s to early 30s that were wearing professional clothing. Some would report a woman and a man who were acting as a supervisor. The social workers would act as if they were doing a routine inspection of the children in the household, where the social workers would actually act pretty weirdly around them. The nature of the exams would feed concerns that the children were being essayed. It's thought that the origins were merely just scare stories or urban legends that had been fueled by the story of Marietta Higgs, who was a pediatrician from Cleveland, England, who diagnosed 121 children as being essayed by their parents with zero evidence or reason. The other theory is the visits had just made by vigilante citizens. Pigman Road Bridge. The Holland Road, which is nicknamed Pigman Road because of the legend of a local butcher that placed the heads of pigs on stakes along the street in the 1950s and 60s. It was said that the butcher had shot a man to death and hung his body from a meat hook in his shop. The road is known for ghost activity that came from a tragedy in December of 1967, where a 6-car passenger train came apart and fell off the track near the road, leading to the death of 50 people. Locals say that the spirits of the victims still roam the area. The Candy Lady. The Candy Lady is a legend originating in Texas, where an unknown woman called the Candy Lady would lead children to their doom by leaving candy on their windowsills after the children's parents had fallen asleep. When the kids would eat the candy on the sill, the lady would grab them and feast on their blood until there's nothing left. After countless disappearances, with no leads of where the children would go, it was assumed by the police that the missing children had either been kidnapped or run away. But as some of the remaining children would get older, they would confess to eating candy left on their windowsills, left with a note from the candy lady. So it was assumed that the children had maybe been poisoned by the unknown candy. But when a sheriff's deputy who was investigating the disappearances would be found dead with his eyes stabbed out by a fork and pockets stuffed with candy, people suspected that there was a serial killer involved. A farmer later would find a child-sized set of teeth inside a candy wrapper. Stories pretty clearly just made to stop children from eating sweets after they were supposed to be asleep, as well as to warn children about the dangers of eating candy or taking candy from strangers. La Lechuza. The La Lechuza is a story in Texas and Mexican folklore. The Lechuza was supposedly a witch that was exposed for practicing the devil's magic, so the townfolk would then murder her. To get her revenge, she would become a shapeshifter, who could appear as an ordinary witch during the day and as a huge bird with a woman's face at night. At night, she would appear as the bird and attack and kill people who she would also eat as her meals. Alabama's Dead Children's Playground. The Maple Hill Cemetery is a cemetery in Alabama that has a children's playground adjoined with it. It's rumored that the playground is often seen with swings moving on their own, as well as having orbs or spectral figures playing at the playground. The reason the playground has the name Dead Children's Playground is because of a legend that says the many children that have died in Huntsville during the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, they were buried in the Maple Hill plots that are adjacent to the playground, and the spirits of those children come out after dark to play as if they were still living.
Sunshine Skyway Bridge. Sunshine Skyway Bridge is located in Tampa Bay, Florida. The bridge has suffered many incidents over the years, such as a ship collision between the Blackthorn and Capricorn, where 23 Coast Guards lost their lives, or the bridge's collapse, where 35 people also lost their lives. The bridge was also a hotspot for suicides, with an estimated 250 people who have taken their lives on the bridge. The main legend is around the bridge being haunted. On some accounts, people have seen a person standing like they're going to jump, but when they stop to help the person, they vanish. The bad luck of the bridge is also a factor in many of the legends today of the Great Haunted Bridge. Mr. Chew. Mr. Chew is an urban legend originating in Delaware. The legend follows Chief Justice Samuel Chew in the 1700s, who was constantly made fun of by people pretending to sneeze or chew as they walked by him. Soon, he passed away, and his ghost began to haunt the town of Dover. A farmer was the first to see his apparition. The news of Chew's ghost then spread rapidly, so to finally lay his soul to rest, the town had another funeral and burial for the ghost under the tree that was seen to appear most often, finally putting his soul to rest. Ghost Elephants of Illinois. Ghost Elephants of Illinois is about a real train crash that happened in 1918 that was carrying a circus that took the lives of 61 people. The area that they were buried in is called Showman's Rest, and that's where the legend arises. It states the elephants had to be buried where they died, so the circus has taken a ghostly form around their graves in the Woodland Cemetery. Every so often, in Woodland Cemetery, you can see the ghostly circus arise once again. Radioactive Hornets. This myth originated in Nebraska around 2013, where hornets that are 4 times larger than normal started appearing in Nebraska. These hornets appeared due to the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in Japan. The venom they carried was supposedly 2,000 times stronger than normal, and they were known for killing humans. Of course, this is just a myth. Jacko Hoax. Jacko Hoax is a legend about a gorilla caught near Yale in British Columbia. The legend originated from the British Columbian newspaper, The Daily Colonist, in 1884. The only interesting thing about this is that many Bigfoot believers use Jacko to prove that Bigfoot is real, even though it holds no validity. Memphis Rap Sigils. Memphis rap is a type of southern rap during the 1980s. During that time, the southern rap scene was not very big, and the songs made in the genre were very poorly produced. The Memphis Rap Sigils themselves are rumored to be made when a production team of a Memphis rap kills and traps the soul of someone in the magnetic taping of the cassettes used to push out their music. Another common rumor about the sigils is that there's 8 specific albums that are imbued with soul energy that can grant you powers.
Bonsai Kitten. Bonsai Kitten was a hoax website that claimed that you could raise a kitten in a jar, so as it grew up, the bones of the cat would be molded so it could be shaped like the jar. The site generated an extreme amount of fury, with lots of people taking it seriously and complaining to animal rights organizations. The website is now deleted and was debunked by several organizations. Vanishing Hotel Room. The Vanishing Hotel Room is also known as the Vanishing Lady, which is an urban legend that claims that during a trip in Paris, a daughter would leave her mother in a hotel room, and when she would return, the mother would be gone, and all of the staff at the hotel would claim to have never heard or have seen the woman before. Some variations have the room that they were staying in disappear alongside the mother. Vermont's Deep Frozen Old Folks. The Deep Frozen Folks in Vermont was a legend that began from a front-page article on the Montpelier Argus and Patriot that told the story of a poor northern Vermont family that put their elderly and weakest family members into cold storage until they would be thawed out in time for spring. The journalist for the Argus and Patriot wrote about seeing the family drug the elderly and weak before stripping them and leaving them outside to freeze, the bodies turning a ghostly white as they laid out in the snow. Eventually, the family announced that they would resuscitate the frozen members on the 10th of May. Eventually, when that date came around, they would pour boiling water onto them in a bathtub. Eventually, the color would return to the bodies, and when people would rub and warm the bodies with their hands, the family members would begin to twitch, and soon they would sit up and speak. They had become completely unfrozen and practically brought back to life. And for my final entry of the video is the Hitchhiker of Blackhorse Lake. The Hitchhiker of Blackhorse Lake is a person that would stand on the side of the road in all denim, appearing to act as a hitchhiker. But when the car gets close, eventually he'll roll over the hood, across the windshield, acting as if you had just hit him. When you get out of your car to investigate and make sure that the person was okay, they would vanish without a trace. Absolutely no signs on your vehicle that the person had even ever been there. The story would have pretty much be thought of as just a one-off occurrence if there weren't many people that would talk about the exact same experience happening to them. People believe that it's the spirit of a Native American man who was struck and killed by a car on the same highway that he stuck hitchhiking on, but there hasn't ever been an incident that proves that this man even exists in the first place.
Skin Tom. Skin Tom originates in Wallen, Tennessee. It is about a man named Tom having an affair with a woman he didn't know was married. While Tom and his lover are having intercourse in a car on Lover's Lane, the husband of the woman swings the car door open and proceeds to stab his wife and skin Tom alive, then turn himself in. When the police come to the scene, Tom's body was nowhere to be found, and it's rumored that Tom stalks Lover's Lane to skin those who cheat on their spouses. Mr. Rogers was a sniper. The myth that Mr. Rogers was a sniper during the Vietnam War apparently originated from the screenwriters of A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, researching the wrong Mr. Rogers. The actual sniper Mr. Rogers had nothing to do with Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. This also debunks the myth that Mr. Rogers wore a sweater to cover up his tattoos from war. Helltown, Ohio. Helltown was an actual Native American settlement in the 1770s. In 1782, the Cheyenne Hunter Massacre happened due to colonial American troops and settlers fighting. As a result, over 90 native settlers were killed. In 1974, the area of Helltown was designated a National Recreational Area by the government as a part of changes in legislation to allocate land to national parks. For the residents, they lost their homes. This caused a snowball effect, making the town slowly decay into an empty husk. There is where the legends start to arise. From ghosts that haunt the local Boston cemetery to dead-end signs put up by cults to keep people out. One of the biggest conspiracies in the town was that the government buyout was a cover-up to hide the chemical spill that was really going on. This was speculated due to the Krzyzewski dump, which people would report to have mysterious odors and gained headaches from being around. The Environmental Protection Agency did a test on the dump and found toxic substances in the area. Finally, is the many attributed suicides in the area, which may or may not happen. There's also a movie called June 9 on the area of Helltown. Gobble Squatch. The Gobble Squatch is an American legend that details a large turkey monster that appears during Thanksgiving. The most used report of the monster was by Professor Wimscott on Native Americans who occupied the now known territory of Virginia. Haunting Woman of Hollering Creek. The Haunting Woman of Hollering Creek is a legend originating in Texas. The myth takes place in the actual woman Hollering Creek, where it is said that sometimes late at night you can hear the screams of a woman in distress. The story shares roots from the Latino myth of La Llorona.
I hope you all were able to enjoy this video. I know it's been a while and I've been kind of busy, and I've also been kind of lazy and lacking in motivation, and I'm just hoping that this could be a nice little jump start to me making videos again. Props to my cousin with helping me in this video, and hopefully he's going to help me a lot more with some of these upcoming videos I plan on working on. And as always, thank you for watching, stay safe out there, and I love you all.